We released it just a couple of days ago. We're very excited about the impact because it's really guiding our thinking. The headline is probably 76% of teachers are using digital media on a regular basis in their classrooms. In other words, it's not an experiment. It's not a small movement. It's really the most common way that learning is being transmitted at this point. The next PBS is obviously social media, where we are joining the ranks of those who have hundreds of thousands of followers and hundreds of thousands of fans and 41 million views on YouTube, because of course pieces of television are intentionally put on YouTube as much as any place else by us. And of course that's an important way for us to reach our audience. Most recently, or what's really still quite fresh, is mobile downloads. You can on your iPhone. As a matter of fact, I just downloaded the Curious George coloring book. It's probably my favorite. And it's the #2 in the app. There are 6 of those so far. Mr. Rogers is the first iPhone app ever to address emotional development issues, and Super Y and Martha Speaks, both being ready-to-learn properties, are specifically benchmarked against very carefully selected curricular skills, as Susan pointed out. And we think that these things are going to surreptitiously add a lot of vitamins to kids' media diet. So of course the question is, has anything changed? Yes, because it's interactive. It's really about serving kids where they live. It's about streaming, not broadcasting. It's about enlisting the teacher at a level that they can become stars. It's about using technologies like whiteboards. It's about something that's fundamentally social and fundamentally mobile. It is what we would call the next PBS. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, last but certainly not least, we have Alice Cahn. Alice is the Vice President of Social Responsibility for Cartoon Network, and she's worked in many different aspects of children's media, and she's going to give us some insights into the future of children's television.
Okay, what button do I push to change? Oh, there we go. Ah, fabulous, that's me. Okay, so that's not the question. Thank you very much for coming. Goodbye. I changed it. That's great. While the current youth media business hasn't yet cracked the financial code of online and digital businesses, as Terry pointed out earlier, we know the days of linear media dominating children's hearts and minds are evolving. Yet the statistics do show right now that even with the rise of media options, TV is still the dominant media in the US and Europe. Hoping that works. There we go. Good. In the U.S., 48% of time spent with media, and that other media includes video gaming, radio, home video, pure play internet, and recorded music, is spent with television. The next competitor for time spent is less than half that, 21% of time spent with video games. So what's changed with the coming of the digital universe, and what will television be like in the year 2040? The analog television universe is different than digital, but how different? Socrates feared that reading would undermine interactive dialogue. The ancient media of theater, speech, and song, certainly they were reshaped by writing, but they were never supplanted. In that vein, despite changes in technology, live linear TV viewing outpaces time-shifted TV and internet viewing by 90%. Well, those two things were switched, weren't they? All right, I'll kill somebody later. Okay, so TV or not TV, this is just a shameless way to show you pictures of my children, so I apologize. The point is, or at least I think the point is, there's no separation anymore. Kids' brains and expectations don't distinguish between media the way we do. As my old boss at Sesame Workshop, Gary Nell, would say, television, schmelevision. The ever-changing balance between tradition and innovation is ever-changing. Kids are heading into a future I will never reach, with brains differently wired to explore and exploit it. I grew up reading and watching information, and then finally playing with it on another screen. My kids grew up, or are growing up, playing with it across multiple platforms. Frankly, they could care less what medium is making the delivery, as long as they get the content they want when they want it. And that's my point. Is television really changing? Distribution's different. There are more content and delivery options. We've gone from being the virtual hearth to being the virtual hand warmer. But that's to be expected. What's interesting is how new creators will use technology and what content and communication will be created. From what I'm reading, computers are doubling in power every year. It used to be once every 2 years, and it will doubtless increase. So by the time we get to 2040, computers will be more intelligent than humans. We will live with new companions in the form of software personalities. Imagine having, as in The Golden Compass or Pinocchio with Jiminy Cricket, your own daemon, your own familiar, who's always with you and knows and can do everything. He or she virtually sits on your shoulder like the closest and wisest of friends. How does that change your play and interactions? Actually, the process has already begun in virtual worlds. And frankly, by 2040, much of daily life will be conducted across parallel virtual universes, and we won't be thinking, as adults do today, how new and special it is. It will just be our lives. In most musing about the future, we usually discuss the probable future, a future of extrapolated trends and factual expectations. What I really appreciate about Kids at Play, especially this year, thank you to Warren and Robin, is that we move beyond that. We establish a goal or a premise, and we can talk about a chosen future, a future where ideals and dreams have an equally fair chance. I am inspired, as always, by the work of the world's public librarians, who are creating a future for libraries in ways that dwarf the imaginations and efforts of other public and private institutions. Their premise is that print will live on. And there is a Libraries 2040 project that's being run out of the Netherlands. The Library of the Future, imagine an immense central library that has more in common with Hogwarts Castle than any library you now know. Room for 5 million books, cafes, theaters, thousands of magazines, and next to the traditional staircases and elevators, there are hundreds of glass study booths that move vertically and horizontally, allowing you to navigate the entire collection from your own comfortable study booth. And it isn't only a physical space. Collections are directly accessible 24 hours a day, 365 days a year from anywhere. And decentralized special branches are set everywhere from local restaurants and gas stations to dentists' waiting rooms. My premise for the future is, or my premise for the future of television, is that visual linear storytelling will live on. A good story, well told, will always fire an audience's imaginations. And my somewhat predictable prediction for change or for the future is universal access, the anywhere, anytime nature of media. The challenge I see is an economic, social, and policy environment that supports the creation of engaging content, virtual forums that stimulate play, and sustainable business models. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. I hope everybody agrees with me that this is an incredible panel. And really, I want to say I really appreciate that we learned a lot and we didn't just hear plugs for what they do, although everything that they do is so extraordinary. We already know what they do. Do we have some time for some questions? No. Not even one or two? Okay, well maybe you'll get a chance to meet these folks as they come off the stage.